Hey guys, Crude here. Welcome back to another commentary video. It's probably been about 2 or 3 years since the last time I've done one of these, so it's refreshing. In Call of Duty Mobile, power creep has become an incredibly large issue, especially with many new releases in terms of weapons. Before, many guns, such as the Odin, the SKS, they had incredibly fast times to kill, but they always had something that evened them out that would kind of make the weapon less viable per se. The SKS, it's a semi-auto. Even with its 138 millisecond time to kill, you still need to learn how to play with a semi-auto. Tap, tap, tap. The Odin, it's a 2-tap kill. Yes, it's a full auto, but it has an incredible amount of recoil that you need to learn to control. But recently, Call of Duty Mobile has released some guns. The MG42 and the BP50. Both of these weapons have incredibly fast fire rates, with the MG42 having a 5 to 6 shot kill, and the BP50 having a 4 to 5 shot kill. Both of these guns have a significant lack of recoil, both are used incredibly aggressively, and both use the Vanguard attachments. The issue with the MG42 is that it has no recoil, despite the accuracy, the bullet spread accuracy nerfs. It's still an incredibly viable weapon. Again, no recoil, decent accuracy, has a 250 round attachment and a 125 round default magazine size. That, with one of the fastest fire rates in the game, creates an incredibly deadly weapon. You can have 250 rounds and you can be firing faster than a Fennec. That, alongside the new BP50, which is, in terms of mobility, like an SMG. It's got SMG strafe speed and run speed, and it's got a very similar fire rate to the MG42, despite only having a 60 round or 30 round mag. Now, what this has done is this has created two weapons with such incredibly fast times to kill that most other weapons really aren't viable, especially in higher ranks such as Legendary. When you start dealing with weapons like these, if you're not using the meta, realistically, you're going to start losing a lot of fights. For example, I have a friend. He is on the Striker leaderboards, the Striker shotgun. Now, before the MG42 and the BP50, obviously, yeah, using the Striker is a challenge. But even if it's a challenge, it was still doable. Nowadays, with the addition of the BP50 and the MG42, MG42 users can hold lanes and angles very effectively. It's almost impossible to counter them without a sniper or some other long-range weapon that can compete, such as the SKS. The BP50 is an incredibly good aggressive gun, and once mastered, it's very, very easy to kill people. The time to kill for the BP50 rivals that of the HVK with a large cal mag. The HVK with the large caliber mag has been the best assault rifle in the game, and overall the best weapon in the game for the last few seasons, with an incredibly fast 3-shot to the upper body and a pretty consistent 4-shot at range. Now, in the current meta, you have the LW3 Tundra, the Odin, the BP50, and the MG42, and the HVK, and that's pretty much it. The DRH is widely used, but compared stats-wise to the other guns, it's not as good. Most of the weapons in the meta right now have been buffed to a point that it makes the game really unfun, especially when you want to try new weapons. You want to use a variety of weapons instead of using the same 2 or 3 guns always. When you don't use the meta in these high ranks, especially against pro players such as Raballo, Marshy, I play against them, it's incredibly hard to compete without using these weapons. If I tried to take out, example, my NA45 or like a R90, It's really hard to compete with a BP50, which can kill me in a fifth of a second from halfway across the map. Power creep over time. And I get it, the thing with Activision is a company. They make these guns incredibly powerful in order to sell skins for them. If we've noticed, the last few guns that we've seen in the game, there was the Tech 9 that released. It's an alright SMG. I mean, it's nothing crazy. That one released with a legendary skin. We have the machine pistol released with the legendary character and a legendary skin. It's nothing all that crazy. I mean, in close range, it's kind of good, but it's nothing all that crazy. Then we look at the MG42 and the BP50. Two of the most insane guns we have ever seen in Call of Duty Mobile. And both of them released with mythic skins. I believe that Activision makes these guns incredibly overpowered to sell mythic skins. It's honestly not a bad marketing strategy. But even though it's a good marketing strategy, it harms the game more than it does good for it. Even though Activision would make more money off of it, it makes the game unplayable. With the new update bringing the BP50, every ranked game there will be BP50 spammers on both teams, and it makes it incredibly hard to fight against other players. It's the difference with the BP50, the MG42, a lot of these new meta guns, the difference with them is that nowadays they really don't seem to require a lot of skill. A lot of these new guns like the BP50, MG42, it's a really, really easy to use gun. Compared to the older ones like the Odin, the SKS, they have really huge downsides, whereas the downsides in the MG42 and the BP50 really aren't all that consequential. This leads to incredibly widespread usage of the meta, and the meta is so easy to use and so powerful that it just causes the game to be unplayable. Over time, the more overpowered guns that get added to the game, in order for Call of Duty Mobile to sell skins, they have to continually add more and more overpowered weapons that get stronger and stronger over time, faster and faster. This will eventually lead to a point where the game becomes completely unplayable. You can't play ranked, can't play pubs, it's just going to lead to a dying game. In the future of Call of Duty Mobile, I foresee one of two things. The first option is the game dies. Eventually the meta gets so powerful that there's really no point in playing because you're going to use the same one or two guns over and over again for years on end. No one's going to want to do that. The second possibility I see is the game gets completely rebalanced. Every single weapon, the damage system, the armor system, and BR, everything gets reworked and rebalanced to a point where everything is usable and you can pretty much do whatever you want in the game. I don't see either of those. Well, obviously, the first one's not going to be a good ending, but I don't see the second one going over well for a few reasons. One of those reasons is if a complete rework of the weapon and power scaling system in Call of Duty Mobile happens in order to counter power creep, much of the player base will be outraged. I feel like a lot of people who are on leaderboards for certain guns like the DLQ or the DRH, the HVK, they will be angry because they got onto leaderboards with the best guns in the game, and now their best gun in the game isn't the best gun in the game anymore. It's on par with everything else in its class. That and the fact that a lot of people spend money on these skins because the gun is so broken. If all the guns get reworked and rebalanced, all these broken guns, people who bought skins for them, they'll be incredibly mad at Activision and they'll probably review bomb the game. Activision will be overloaded with requests for refunds, etc. It wouldn't go over well. Feel free to let me know in the comments. What do you think about this? Do you think power creep in Call of Duty Mobile is a huge issue? Do you foresee it being a huge issue in the future? Do you want anything to be done about this? What do you think of it? Tell me down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. It's Crude out.